Hello friends, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Let's have a little bit of fun, shall we? Now, I hate it when people aren't original, and that's why we're doing another video about every Premier League club. It's a good format. But in our world of football, we talk about different teams and we often say the same stuff. And I'm saying, can we police this? Can we stay on top of this? And can we keep away from the thing about blah, 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 insert club here? And thus, we have a video idea, okay? So I'm going to put forward the thing about every single club in the Premier League. For example, a few years ago, they used to go, the thing about Arsenal is they try and walk it in. Less so these days. Very high-tempo football. But you get what I'm talking about. You know, the thing about Allcott is with those eyebrows, I can't figure out if he's plucking them or he's just got lucky. It's these kind of things. You get the gist. If you're new to the channel and you like this, then this could be something we could do every single month, actually. We could talk about the thing about blah, blah, blah in October. If that's something you like, hit the like button. The way I will know that you've done that is if enough people do it. 5,000 likes on this video. Let's get it done and let's put forward the stereotypical thing and explore each one, starting with Arsenal. Arsenal. The thing about Arsenal is they're probably the most likeable team in the Premier League. Every fan of every other club getting really annoyed and spamming the comments, feel free. It's engagement. But it is really good attacking football, if I'm honest. I'm intrigued to know, if you're a fan of a team outside of the Premier League and so you're kind of neutral with it, how do you feel about Arsenal being tagged as the most likeable team? And also, has the All or Nothing documentary got something to do with it? I would say they're up there. I think, do you know what? They're the most likeable out of the Greedy Six. But they are still in the Greedy Six. Think about Aston Villa is, Gerrard just wants to go to Liverpool anyway. I'm sorry. But it's true, isn't it? He can say whatever he wants, can't he? He'll go, well, yeah, good question that. You know, thing is, like, I'm just trying to do my job here, and that's what I'm here for, you know? He wants to go. He does. Villa fans, you will, as soon as he's gone, that's why I think he's not actually got the leash that you want to give him. You like it, all the parts of him, you know, great integrity. He, you know, has high standards. He's ambitious. He doesn't take, you know, any BS, but he does want to go to Liverpool. He do. Jezza. Stevie G. You do. He does. It's true. I'm sorry. The thing with Bournemouth is it's Bournemouth. I hate this. I hate when the word Bournemouth becomes something attached with something bad, or well, it's Fulham, or it's Norwich. I get it in terms of the league status, but it feels like it has other connotations, and the snobbery just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. But that's another rant for another time. In terms of whipping boys, they're actually 12th in the league. They've got 8 points, but they will not be able to shake off the tag. Here's why. First of all, they lost a game 9-0. Whipping. And then other games, 4-0, whipping, and a 3-0 whipping at Man City, I think it was, or Arsenal. Can't figure it out. Anyway, because of when we will see Bournemouth and how Premier League fans look at the league itself, if Bournemouth are playing anyone outside the top six, greedy six we might call them, then people aren't going to take any notice. And despite them being 12th, they will always be the whipping boys and expected to swink to the bottom of the league. The thing about Brentford is they'll give anyone a game. Middlesex accent. If you don't know what Middlesex is, it's a county where Brentford reside. They will give anyone a game. I think that's fair. Actually, look at their XG over their time in the Premier League, and they actually do. You know, the game where they beat Man United, they actually had a worse XG in comparison to the game where they lost 3-1 against them. Physical team, smart team as well. They completely deserve this tag, and that's why they beat a lot of teams that you would think that they shouldn't. The thing about Brighton is they're so progressive. Progressive as a place, progressive as a football team. Progressive as a football club, actually, most importantly. De Zerbi comes in. Who is he? We've done a video on it. Go watch it. 10 things that you need to know about De Zerbi. But it's just a very forward-thinking place, as I said. And despite losing like Potter, who felt like a bit of a risk, I guess, at the time, going from someone like Chris Hughton, they really are a forward-thinking club and a hipster's wet dream. The thing about Chelsea is their owner is Ted Lasso. This is harsh. This is harsh. This is one that we shouldn't be sort of going down. But I think this idea of this evil American villain who just doesn't get football like we do is something that I think does truly scare a lot of football fans, and will be something that I think American fans can see in all of the reporting, that there is a leaning of that. I think we've got to stay on top of this. I think he shouldn't be wearing a cowboy hat at Stamford Bridge, and spitting tobacco. But you got to give him time here, because he is making certain choices that actually, if it was an English guy, we'd be going, oh, okay, yes, you've made that change, but you've brought in this progressive manager. Time will tell. But the thing about Chelsea is they've got loads of money, so they'll be fine anyway. Crystal Palace, everyone thinks they're better than they are. Myself included. I really like Crystal Palace, but they've only won once this season. But despite that, they've had a few games which they probably should have won. But they're so aesthetically pleasing, and they have great highlight reel players that we get quite excited about them. They've got young players as well, which, again, we kind of, as football fans, we sort of rule over. But ultimately give a lot of leeway to, especially if they're like English as well. Elise, Eze, those kind of, Conor Gallagher who were there as well. There is a sort of vibrancy about Crystal Palace that does excite a lot of people. So they are probably given more kudos than maybe they deserve. Time will tell. The thing about Everton is that they are the toughest team to support in the Premier League, because the expectations are high. And this comes from an Everton fan, by the way, who said to me that when I asked this question, he said they are the moodiest club in the league. Any kind of backwards pass at Goodison Park, I haven't been there, but apparently from that home end, there will be a groaning of screaming of forward, which is just generally, obviously, slightly annoying. And anyone sat at an Everton game has probably experienced this. I haven't, so I can't say that. But I come back to the fact that the thing about Everton is that it is such a tough club to support, because they are huge. They don't win things. The thing about Fulham is that they're posh, aren't they? Yeah, that's me saying it. I know. But when I go to the Rangers, I cockney it up a little bit and no one's wiser. Now, wearing a collared shirt is absolutely fine, generally, right? But it is a posh area, London, and then they go to the game and they applaud, and they got these clappers, and it's all just very posh with white collars, it's a couple of buttons down because it's been a long day, and that's just what Fulham are. And did you know this? You can't buy a pie at Fulham. You can only buy cheese and crackers. Joking. Am I? Yeah. The thing about Leeds is I don't hate them as much as I used to. It's true, isn't it? We used to hate Leeds United. Dirty, dirty Leeds. However, and I know there are still some problems from other fan bases when they look at the way that Leeds United fans behave. They're very vociferous, strong sometimes in their views. But of course, that's always a minority. Every club's fans has at least 10% of knobheads. So, that's just part of it. But Bielsa comes in, exciting. Oh yeah, up they come. They're going to have a little go at the guys. What is this, basketball? No. Jesse Marsch comes in, and again, nice guy. There's a lot to like about them, and they don't just sit back. And for this reason, we're liking them that little bit more. That's the thing about Leeds United. Get it? The thing about Leicester City is, they didn't buy anyone, correct? And they're rubbish at set pieces. Very correct. Let's have a look at this one. Here we go. So this is this season, right? A set piece XG, 3.15. They conceded 5. But they shouldn't be conceding that many, is what I'm saying here. And then last season, so that's 5. Last season, 19 set piece goals. Put that into context, they were actually playing some decent stuff otherwise and only conceded 28 goals from open play. Get up and win one, will ya? Thing about Liverpool. Thing about Liverpool is that the squad is over the hill. Well, the average age of the players at Liverpool is the 5th oldest in the Premier League. So, yeah, that is kind of happening. And, of course, this is a squad that's been around for some time. They're playing week in, week out, 60 games a season, doing so well in the Champions League and all these different cup competitions as well, pushing Man City all the way to the edge. And so with a squad that is aging over the last 4 years has put through so much effort, they're looking a little bit out of breath. Maybe they just need their Esper pumps. The thing about Man City is they're boring to watch. Less so in previous seasons. This season, last season or the season before that, they didn't have these strikers, so there was just so much outrageous movement. False nines just wiggling about. Now, with Haaland, it has changed a little bit. And I've got to be honest, it is that little bit more boring because, of course, they, own the ball, and own the pitch by staying high up. And previously they would have created 8 or 9 chances. Some were good, some weren't as good, and they would take some, they wouldn't take others. Now, with Haaland and the Haaland approach, they're now sort of waiting patiently to create 2 or 3 chances that, of course, Haaland will gobble up. Yum, 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 yum. The thing about Manchester United is Ten Hag is just papering over the cracks. There's something in this one. I've got to be honest. There is something about this because I think, look, a couple of good victories, it's better. But the way that Man United beat Arsenal was virtually how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have set up against Arsenal a couple of years ago. But because you got the new guy in and you haven't had time to really sort of pull him apart and you haven't totally bought all the players you want to, it's one of those where it's going to take time. But at this moment in time, I'm not totally convinced, and I know a lot of Man United fans aren't as well. They thought they were watching Norwich a few games ago. I saw them all, they're all wearing these green and yellow flags. What I'm saying is they're good, but are they good? No, not yet.
Think about Newcastle League. Is that the playoff? You got a good first 11 league, but after that, it's not in their league.
Fucking hell, that was bad. So sorry. Yeah, the truth is, that is the truth, because this is the Bournemouth game, right? Look at this first 11. Now, imagine Alison Maximin, who wasn't available for this one, slots into that left-hand side. You chuck Ryan Fraser over to the right-hand side, or Al Myron, who I know Newcastle fans have decided they like now. But it's a good first 11. It's a better first 11, and you expect them to win this game, and of course they didn't. But when we scroll down just a little wee bit, when we look at the benches of both these teams, and this is Bournemouth, the whipping boys, you can see the difference. Because actually, out of those two, Sven Botman, you chuck him in there, sure. So imagine swapping him with Shah. Okay, it's maybe just about better, but it's pretty close. Chris Wood or Kiefer Moore? Jamal Lewis or Jack Stacey maybe? Jack Stevens? It's tight, right? That's the point. So yeah, Newcastle's one of those teams that I think everyone's got high or inflating expectations, but it is going to take time. The thing about Forest is they bought too many players. 24. I don't know if you are in the same camp as me. I think this is something that will be, and it's something Steve Cooper has spoken about in terms of cohesion. He understands it as well. It's going to take time. There's players here that haven't even played yet, and also players that don't feel like they're ever going to be able to truly bed into the team because there's 24 players. When you're sort of fighting relegation, which is what Nottingham Forest will be doing this season, this feels a bit scary. And for me, 15 was fine. 18 feels like a lot. 24 is mental. The thing about Southampton is we don't know anything about them. They just go under the radar, don't they? That's the thing. And I think the thing is, you've got Hasenhüttl, you know how he plays. He's been there a long time. The players seem to have been there a long time. And, you know, it's not the sexiest of football. They're not doing a sort of Leeds thing where they're spending that cash as well. Overall, it's a pretty well-run club and sustainable. They just keep plodding along, don't they? Whenever they get into a good little patch, then they start to fall away with bad form, or when they start to drop like a stone, they then find a couple of results as well. They are the mist of the Premier League. The thing about Tottenham is they are still dark horses for the Premier League. Okay. Yeah. I think there's others you can chuck out there. The thing about Tottenham is if they lose Kane, they're in trouble. Less so. They have Richarlison now. Son can move into that central area. I wonder, in terms of this dark horses tag, I think it's one where it calmed down a little bit, but Man City and Tottenham are the only two teams who have not lost a game so far this season. And although they're not playing brilliantly, they are getting points, and that is the sign of champions. The thing about West Ham is they can't deal with the Europa League. This is false, because last year they were just fine, had a fantastic season. What I think is the real problem is it's not a Europa League hangover, it's last season's Europa League semi-final hangover. That felt like such a fairy tale. And I think to sort of come a little bit short, that's what she said, and not make it into that final hurt. It did sting, and it was a bit of a damp squib. Always got to say it right. You say squid. But yeah, so far, I mean, they've won 2 out of the last 14. They've only scored 3 goals. So something's not right there. Is it the Europa League? Is it the growing pains of the new arrivals? Or is it that kind of just coming to the end of that initial momentum cycle of the last 2 years? Let me know, West Ham fans. The thing about Wolves is they're just really Portuguese, aren't they? I was struggling for Wolves, I've got to be honest. They're the sort of Portuguese Burnley, aren't they? You know, if you think of Burnley, you know, incredibly overall boring football, not that many goals, the bulk of the squad being based around one nationality. It's just the same as Wolves. Lots of Portuguese players with lots of sexy names, but very few goals. Lots of possession. They seem to get away with it, though. No one seems to have a go at them. And long may that happen, because I don't want anyone having a go at anyone, but they are a bit boring. So there you have it, guys. That's the thing about every single Premier League club. I'm sure I've missed off quite a few. I want you guys to get involved in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to do it again in a month or a couple of months, hit the like button as well. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.